Wahan. Hello, world. Welcome back to another episode of the Social Progress Podcast, where we talk about hard to talk about conversations, all in hopes that it can encourage us to make that social impact and change within our communities and ourselves. So excited, guys, to be here again. I'm excited for our guest speaker and the topics that we were talking about today. I'm going to get her in so we can get this thing going. For everybody tuning in, hello, huff a day, everybody. Put for butt, get up in here, share this lives with a friend. Share our live with a friend to get into these deep topics. Let me get my guest speaker on and we're going to get this thing going. I don't know why I'm yelling. We're all excited. Hey!
Hello!
Hey! Your background, I love it.
Thank you. I got those awesome hanging fairy lights. That's what it's called.
Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Of course. I appreciate you guys coming on, and we're just going to get this thing started, and everyone's going to be coming in along the way. If everyone is just joining in, put for butt, guys. If you guys can, please share this live. Everybody wave, say hello to our guest speaker. Welcome her in today. Utilize the question box. If you guys have any questions, we'll be taking questions towards the end of the live. Do you want to introduce yourself to the peoples?
Okay, yes. So I am Kristy Paulson. So I come from an immigrant family. I am Croatian and American because I was born and raised in the United States. I'm 29 years old and currently living in the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico.
Yes, yes. Welcome. I love that. Thank you so much, Kristy. There's like, I'm sorry, excuse me. There's like lint or something flying all over here. It looks like it's raining. Please hold for human technical difficulties. Well, anyways, I guess we're just going to jump in. And the first question would be, why did you feel like it was important? I know it was super encouraged to you guys, but why did you feel like it was really important to join in on the interview and share your story?
Well, me coming from an immigrant family, that's something that I know a lot of people can relate to, because when I was living on Guam, obviously there's quite a different mixture of cultures that are there. Not only is it Chamorro, there's the Filipino, there's Japanese, Chinese, Korean. I mean, there's a lot of different cultures there. And I know there is immigrants and immigrant families there. So especially like if someone comes from the Philippines, they immigrate to Guam, you know, that's a quick, easy process to come into the United States, to immigrate to the States, because obviously the financial, you know, gain is there in the States versus, you know, in the Philippines. It is tough, you know, they're struggling out there. So I know there's kids out there, teenagers, heck, you know, like me, almost 30 years old, that can relate to growing up with immigrant parents and dealing with, you know, the culture change, or people viewing you differently, or like you're some kind of alien almost, you know, that, you know, just because you come from somewhere different and you're not born and raised in the United States, that makes you so different. So I just want to get my message out so people can relate to it, because there is a lot of people in the same shoes.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. And before we go on, of course, like I always like to tell everybody, I'm going to continue to tell you, I super appreciate you coming on and talking about these just challenging subjects. Even if we're in a space where we can still be able to talk about it, it's still something that's difficult, and just, you know, it brings up a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings. So I thank you guys so much for coming in and joining in. I appreciate it. So you pretty much somewhat answered my next question that I had here. So thank you for that. But going into more detailed in life, we
Mhm.
all go through all these different tests and challenges. You know, it's twisting and shoving us and pushing us
Mhm.
around. And which one of your life testimonies, like you were speaking of, did you feel that it was important? And like, what do you have to say in regards to that topic?
Um, Definitely the part about, you're not different just because you come from a different cultural background. Your ethnicity is different. That's a big part. Um, Especially being an immigrant, going through all of that because my parents immigrated to the States. I definitely got treated differently in the beginning, but afterwards, if I don't say anything now, no one would notice. My English is perfect. I was born and raised in the States, but obviously my parents immigrated. They had to work to get their citizenship, so they still have the very heavy accents. I mean, very thick accents. They have that Slavic thick accent, and they are still looked at differently. But I'll speak, and no one bats an eye. So it's just this part where you're not different for coming from not the all American, the girl next door apple pie baking person. It's okay to have that variety. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. I mean, I think that that's such an important topic, Kristy, for you to share. And again, I thank you so much for coming on. I think a lot of the kids,
Yeah.
the young people, just the world in general, I
Mm-hmm.
just highlight on the kids because we're the ones that are teaching them, but just the world in general, I
Yep.
think it's important for us to know and to understand that that's not what it is. And you know that it's not cool, and we're not going to be dealing with like the different treatment and you
Mm-hmm.
know, putting us down because we're from a different place. The beautiful thing about the world is like it's super diverse, and there's so many different cultures, there's so many
Yep.
just different ways of living, and it's so beautiful when we all just come together and kind of share that together.
Exactly. Yes. I
Yes,
mean, and
yes.
it's hard to see it nowadays when it can be so politically driven about the immigration issue. And I'm not one to talk about politics because I'd rather stay out of that, because my opinion is mine and your opinion is yours, and everybody has their own opinion. But my viewpoint is those that, even if you say, if you're in Germany and you immigrate to England, they still face the same backlash. Or if you're going from India, um, say you're going from India to France, I mean, they're still going to face the same backlash because they're immigrating from their original country. And it's just, they're going to face the same rudeness, harshness. Even their kids will be treated differently. I know me as a kid, I was treated differently in school for a while, until, kids came to see that that is actually really cool and interesting to be from somewhere else or to know another language. I mean, you're not the freak show that some adults, it's sad that some adults want to portray that and view immigrants and their children as bad people.
Yes, yes. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, Thinking back about when you had your own personal experience with experiencing just people treating you differently, or, you know, just you going into a different environment, thinking back to that time, how did you feel going through those experiences?
So I definitely felt like an outcast, like I didn't belong, even though by birth I'm an American. I'm no different from somebody else being born in America to parents that are already American. It's just, my parents, they got their citizenship, they're American, and I'm born as an American, but I got viewed as, oh, the foreigner, because people knew my parents and they knew that they hear the accent, and they say, oh, we're from Croatia, and all of a sudden it's just you're looked down upon. And I remember this clearly. I was in 5th grade, so I was 10. So it was 5th grade, I was 10, and we were at my mom's work, and this doctor was just rude. He absolutely hated that my mother spoke a different language to me, and she was just telling me, go sit down. I don't know why we stopped in there for something, and he was just appalled that she had the nerve to speak another language to me as a child. And then he looked at me like I was just disgusting, like, what are they doing here? Why is she here? It's like, can't someone work and support their child? And so what if they brought their child in? And I just go and sat down and minded my own business. But that was where I really noticed it. I'm just like, what a terrible person. And even later on, as I grew up as a teenager, I noticed it too, again, because I started to work at the same place my mom did. And I would hear it firsthand where someone would pretty much kind of berate my mom because maybe she got there, because we worked in the cafeteria. So maybe, and I was on the register cashing out either visitors or the staff who worked at the hospital. But I would hear them like, oh, she doesn't understand us. Where is she from? Blah, blah, blah. And, I'd have to be like, excuse me, it's just a mistake. She's been in the States. She's not like some weird, illegal alien here working. And, people have just been nasty. And then, they want to look at me differently because I stood up for, my own mother, but I stood up for a person because they were from, a different country and they had that accent, which was, it's kind of disgusting, especially when it's to your own parents. But yeah, I noticed it at an early age. And then it continued throughout my teens that I still noticed it.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that story. And honestly, this just goes to show the reason why this is so important, because you're sharing that story and you're sharing that you experienced it at such a young
Mm-hmm.
age, with other people doing that to you guys because you guys were a different culture. And another topic
Exactly.
is I experienced that at a young age as well, starting up in school, like, in
Mm-hmm.
middle school and then in high school. But to flip the script, it was always against our own culture.
Yeah,
Like, it was
there's
like,
that too. There's that too.
So, I mean, I can't, you
Oh,
know what I mean?
sorry.
I can't deny it, because being in school and just having that pressure of like, oh, we can't like go over there to that section of school, or we can't talk to that people because they're this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to deny it. I went into that system and was like participating in it as well. But now
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, yo, that's not cool at all. And I see
Yeah.
like the bigger picture of like just the big effects that could take on just
Mm-hmm.
community, society.
Yeah, because I mean, look what you start out as a kid being um, against foreigners, immigrating to your country or whatever. But the kids grow into that, then they grow up into doing the same, and it's the same. The cycle continues. They'll do it to their kids, and they'll teach that hatred of, you know, dislike the foreigners. It's a vicious cycle.
Yes, yes, yes. I think that that's why coronavirus came along, and it's like, everyone, don't come at me, everyone. I know that there are serious things happening in today's day with COVID, but I just think that there's just a lot of things that are coming into light. There's a lot of things that people are now choosing not to ignore. And there's just a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that people are just like, we're just looking at things. It's like, what is important, like our fashion, our
Mm-hmm.
culture of like fashion and just like, all this like TV and all that stuff, or is it
Mm-hmm.
being there for each other and supporting one another? And I think a lot of us are going back to those roots of like supporting one another, being okay with what we have, you know.
Yes.
So with that, why am I crazy? What did I say? No.
I know I'm reading the same. I'm reading the same thing.
What did I say? Um, with that said, and you experiencing that throughout life and just where you are now, what have you done to kind of like overcome the challenges of you seeing and hearing and experiencing people doing that?
Well, first, well, I used to get angry, so that's where it first started. I would get angry because people would be, different towards me for no reason, just because they knew my parents came from somewhere else, that they immigrated here. First, I would get angry, then the backlash started. Then I started to come to the understanding of like, we can't change everybody, so that's the tough thing. And if I come along to someone else who's in that they're experiencing the same thing, that backlash, that kind of hatred filled push from, the pushback from society, I just try to relate to them, help them out in a way I can. um, Obviously, if there's a language barrier, try to overcome that. And then, living in Puerto Rico is another thing, because I feel like I'm the immigrant now, and it's heavily Spanish speaking here. People do speak English, they are nice about it and they try to accommodate. And I'm here on my phone trying to do Google Translate when I go out. So we don't have that language barrier. I'm trying to learn. It's been it's been tough, but I've been doing the Google Translate to translate things, and I'm starting to learn. I'm listening to people to help learn, myself. So I'm learning, and I try to help others that are in that same boat to like teach them and help them learn like cultures and ways, so they can get around better and not feel that pushback and hatred. I mean, it's learning on both ends, but especially for, if kids coming from an immigrant family, it's like, hey, this is kind of how it is. This is how you can get around that, and this is how you can start to, blend in. And then once you get a little bit of understanding, then you start teaching the other people how it is for your culture, your heritage, how it is. So not only is it learning, but it's also teaching.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Girl, you're like answering all my questions like ahead of time. So I'm like, pew, pew.
Rapid fire.
Yes, girl, just coordinate this whole interview. Yes, I love it. Um, for everyone just joining in, put for blood. If you guys have any questions to the topics we're talking about for Kristy, please use the question box. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys have any questions, any comments, I really see that Anita is resonating with the topics.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anita, for all your
And I
comments.
did I did see
Um,
Anita comment about how she sees some of that stigma, the backlash on the island, on Guam. And I saw it too when I was living there. Not only do, if you don't, how I saw it, if you don't get that trust and built communication with the locals, they push back on it, because we all see it. We know it's not something we can sweep on the rug, but we see it when the military comes in and they're like, oh, here come the white people. And I know people have looked at me on Guam and like, oh, here comes the white girl. And then they see me, I learn their culture, I learn how to communicate and everything. And I got, we got so widely accepted while we were on Guam. And that's why it was amazing to live on Guam. I wish I could go back like right now, because the culture there, not only are they so accepting, but at the same time they're also kind of shady, because we've seen it where they go, oh, the white people, or they start going after the other Micronesians, because we hear about the Chukis and how they can't control their liquor. I mean, it's the same thing. Same
That's
thing
what
will
I
be
was gonna
said about
say.
same thing will be said about like Slavic people, like Bosnians, Croatians, Serbians. They don't like each other. Who's Orthodox? Who's Roman Catholic? I mean, it goes into like a holy war. Who's right? You know. So not only they're now like people who should be bonded together, now they're nitpicking each other.
Yes, no, I totally agree with Anita and what you brought up, highlighting Anita's comment on Island, because
Oh,
that's what I
speak truth.
that speak truth, Queen. Yes, but that's what I was talking about in regards being into school. So like in middle school and high school, it's like I'm Chamorro, and then there's those cliques,
Mm-hmm. Of
unfortunately, in school. And so like my
course.
groups of friends are like, we're not gonna go down there, like the Chukis are over there, we're not going over here, like Filipinos are over here, like we're not doing this. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And then
Where do you fit in?
social pressure, you think that you can't talk to them, but it was so hard because in class I had
Mm-hmm.
different people that were different cultures, and we learn each other about each other in class, and then we
Yeah.
become friends, and then if our group sees we're going against our group or our family or our
Yeah.
friends, when it's like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
good
Not
topic
only do you
though.
get pressure from like inside, like each culture, each area, they have not only their pressure from inside their own group, like Croatians, it's like, oh, you know, at one point I remember, oh, my mom saying she's good, you're gonna marry a nice, good Croatian boy, and it's like, what if I don't? Why don't pressure me on that? And then not only do you have pressure from inside of that, now you have pressure from outside and pretty much the whole world. Yeah, I mean, you have pressure from coming at you from everywhere.
Yes, yes, yes. um I wanted to move along with the questions, but I really enjoyed your other topic that we were talking about. Was that something that
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about as well?
Well, yes. Okay, so I almost had brain fart, but yeah, we can.
I love that topic, and I think it's important because I actually struggled with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people struggle with it.
Yeah. Okay, so ask away. We'll get into part 2 then.
Yes, before we get into the questions, the part two of the topics was tattoos and body piercings. So do you
Piercings.
want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So obviously, I'm a body piercer. I started at a young. I've always had a fascination, tattoos and piercings, and then finally, once I was 18, I had the opportunity to, you know, do the apprenticeship, become a body piercer, do it for real. Because obviously, I went to university, I failed at that, left, went to community college. So I finally like, okay, I've screwed up enough. I'm going to go to community college. I became an EMT. So that's where I learned my anatomy, the medical side. I got that down pat. And then that just wasn't enough for me either, or actually was a little too much for my young brain to handle at that point. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to go and do what I really, really love. And, you know, I was obviously getting tattoos and piercings at right off the bat at 18. So I was like, okay, you know what? I failed at a couple of things. Let me get into that. And that's how I started my body piercing. So I went, did my apprenticeship. After a year and a half, I finally finished and I went on my own. But, you know, it is looked down upon still, you know, by society. Like, oh, you got tattoos. Oh, you got pierced. Unless it's like, oh, girls, they have this cute little nose ring. Okay, that's accepted. Maybe a couple things on your ear, but then you start to go crazy. I have my ears gauged out. So not only did I stretch out my earlobes, you know, that's like, what the heck are you doing with your body? But yeah, it's looked down upon. And then coming from and here's where it plays into the first part, an immigrant Catholic family. coming from that Catholic background, your body is your temple. Don't put no shit on it. But my temple has, the glass stained windows. So those are my tattoos, and my piercings are my decorations.
Yes, yes. I love that. Thank you so much. I just thought it was important because I feel like we go through that a lot, and even with me as well. And I know that we want to like uphold like a professional look, and
Mm-hmm.
we just want to be professional when we're doing all of that. But I just think
Mm-hmm.
that time has kind of like changed, and not to say
Yep.
like we're taking away from the professional, but we can like have tattoos and still be professional and be like, let's get this business
Exactly.
done. Like,
And for a long time, I actually took a step back from my piercings and said, okay, maybe I was being immature with it. So I went the route where, I did office work, administration, HR. I actually went to the Sheriff's Academy to train to be a police officer. So, you got to cut all that off. And then I worked for a company that was contracted with the federal government. Yeah, you can't have nothing. I had to take out my tongue ring during work. Obviously, I didn't have my septum piercing then, but my nose ring, my stud, that had to be taken out. I even cut my hair short to a bob so I could hide my ear piercings so they wouldn't see it. I mean, I did the drastic professional route. I stuck with that. And like I said, I did office work, and I just, I always wanted to go back to my piercings and pick that back up. And then, I got to Guam and I finally got my chance. I was like, you know what? I don't have to do office work. So I went and did, I went back, worked in a shop, and did my piercings again. And even now, I still keep it on the side. That's my side hustle, and that's how I make my money, and it's fun. And plus you get pretty jewelry. Why not do what you like to do and want to do versus let me cover up everything and go work a 9 to 5 and be unhappy at the end of the day.
yes, yes. Thank you. That's the whole reason why I asked you about that.
Yep.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and so, it's very important for us to support each other in order to just, progress and move forward in life to be a better society for not only like the ones before us, but also the
Mm-hmm.
ones after us. So, can you give some advice to the people who may like be going through, who have gone through, or who are going through pretty much the topics that you're talking about right now?
Yeah,
And
so I
in the, mhm.
no, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I just wanted to say, obviously, to the younger generation to not worry about that social stigma because it will all play out. Obviously, it did for me. I'm finally happy. I can do what I want to do. I mean, it will all work out. Yes, you're going to deal with some backlash, some stigma. You're going to probably disappoint your parents if you start tatting up your whole body or piercing your whole face and it looked like you fell, my favorite quote, you fell in a tackle box. But all that, will get over it. My parents now, my dad hit 70, my mom's in her late 60s. So, and so you their generation, you definitely know that they were against the piercings, the tattoos. But now, when they haven't seen me for a while, they came home. I got one comment, but I knew that was going to happen anyway. But I got one comment. But then after that, they're just happy I was there, happy I was able to see them. So for the kids to not worry, I mean, it will all work out. Sorry, I'm laughing now because Anita's comment. Stop it, stop it. But anyway, to the kids that will watch this and want to get some inspiration, and the teenagers, there's probably there's a 10-year gap between me and now a current teenager that can get piercings and tattoos without parental consent. But don't worry about the backlash. If it makes you happy, if it makes you feel good, do it. Just do it. I mean, you only got one life, and use your skin to be your canvas. I mean, that doesn't matter. But society is slowly changing. It's becoming more accepting. And then to address those that the generation where they're already set in their ways, you know, it doesn't hurt to give it a second look and not be as judgmental or aggressive towards someone else who decided to put an extra earring in their ear or to have a cute drawing tattooed on them. Just because that judgment's, it's just gonna weigh heavy on you, and you're just gonna end up, you know, looking ugly. You know, it just makes you an ugly person to be that rude and that judgmental for someone else's preference. It doesn't even affect them. It doesn't affect them in any way whatsoever, but they want to pass that harsh judgment. Yeah. And then to go back to subject one, again, to tell the kids, just learn and then educate. Because, I mean, it doesn't hurt to learn culture, a different culture, and then to educate people on your culture, vice versa. That learning and educating is just, it's a big step. And I don't think people will ever stop learning or educating others, because that never stops. I know some kids are gonna be like, oh, when I leave school, I don't have to learn anything. It's like, no, you're never gonna stop. You're never gonna stop learning, and it's okay, you know, and you'll make it through. And then the older generation, you know, say people still want to immigrate. There's still people in their 50s that want to come to the US or wherever to find, it doesn't even have to be to the US. If they want to immigrate somewhere to make their life better for themselves or get out of a bad situation, do it. It will pay off. It will be tough, but find the support groups that are there. There are people from your same country, wherever, that have already immigrated. They can help you get through it and get your life started in a new place, because it can only get better. And if it doesn't, move again. I mean, it is almost that easy nowadays.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I just want to acknowledge
some of these comments.
The comments are talking about Mike Tyson. Anita, don't
Mike
you dare get no Mike Tyson. Just kidding. You get that Mike Tyson tattoo if you want to, boo.
No, do it if you want to.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, for everyone just joining in again, a couple people are coming in. But please utilize the question box. We are going to answer some questions towards the end. With that being said, Miss Kristy, if you could tell the world some advice from the age you were when you were experiencing just like racism or just the different people treating you different because you're a different culture, go back to like that age. And of course, you already shared brilliantly just the advice part and everything. But coming back from that young age, what kind of advice would you give the world? So this is really just everybody in general on how to be mindful of that topic as far as being treated differently. And then before you answer, if you can say like, dear world.
Yes. Dear world. Coming from the mouth of a 10-year-old, lay off the hate comments. Lay off the rudeness. If you want to say something derogatory, save it for when you're by yourself in your car. Because not only does it affect a 10-year-old, then that 10-year-old's going to feel shitty. They're going to go home and bring it to their family, and, you know, they're going to have to explain why they feel the way they do, or like me, don't express anything. So now this 10-year-old has all that hatred bottled up inside, and that made me into a very angry person. So, dear world, keep that shit to yourself. If you want to let it out later when you're not around anyone, by all means, go ahead when you're not around anyone, because it does nobody any good, and it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference, because go back to your country, it's not going to make a difference. I'm not going to pick up my bags or go my 10-year-old self isn't going to go tell my family, oh, we got to go take our bags and go back to where we came from. Yep.
Whew.
Yep. I might have to get the Mike Tyson now, because I just threw a bunch of punches.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh man. Yeah, see, I wish that just the whole world and everybody can have like these crazy serious conversations about serious things that we're talking about, but still have it be just such a mutual conversation, man. Like, um I don't know. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. It's a little slow, but we're getting there.
Yeah, very slow, but I'm just glad that, I see a difference. I mean, I feel a difference even in me being born in the 90s. You're 29, I'm turning 30 tomorrow, and
Oh, happy birthday.
I thank you. I just feel a difference in me, I feel like I'm just kind of growing out of like just the hanging out with friends, or going and just like like social media on a personal usage level, and
Yeah.
just all this other stuff. I feel like I'm kind of like just growing out of that and growing into like the more
Oh,
like
I can definitely
important topic.
relate. Yeah.
Not to say that it's bad to hang out with friends or it's not important,
No.
but just like I feel like I'm really starting to really not only
Mm-hmm.
think about like taking action, but actually like really working to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I did that too. This last month and a half, I'm just like, I'm kind of disgusted with social media. I'm just gonna like take a quick break and step away. And I did. I haven't been posting. I do my little stories here and there, and then just people know I'm still like up and kicking. Uh, but I am working on something. I'm actually getting some topics together. I'm gonna start doing some videos, so I my lovely background all set up, and I'm gonna start filming some videos, and it'll be kind of like what I like. So I'll be talking about whatever the heck I feel like it, or if I find a good important topic, I'll talk about an important topic. But it'll be me talking about whatever I want, and I'll be doing my makeup while talking about it. So kind of like some people do the makeup and true crimes, makeup and ghost stories. I'm going to do a makeup and I'm going to talk about whatever the heck I want kind of segment. And I'm going to start doing that. So I've kind of just been silent, and I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts and reading, just to get some material to start up, and do, some quick little videos and talk about what's been on my mind. And this is
Yo,
kind of
I
a
love
nice
that.
start.
Yes. I love that. I think that you should be doing it. I think that you'll be great. You're doing great right now. And I mean, everybody wants to hear what he has to say.
Okay, I have to take Anita's suggestion, makeup and Karens. Okay, I'll do that. I will do that. I will talk about Karens, because it actually goes in with what's going on with the world today. My topic one, immigration, because I hear too much now about, go back to where you came from, or say if you are of Asian descent, or, you look that part, that you're getting backlash because of coronavirus. But I'll talk about that Yes, thank you, Anita. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about the Karens and how crappy they are.
Yes.
Karen.
Anita,
Karen
yes.
virus.
Karina virus.
Karen. Oh.
I
Yeah,
should
I
have
mean,
called
I've been,
Anita earlier.
I know.
I should have called her earlier. I was having a long day. She would have made me laugh.
Slap some of that good makeup on and join us.
Yes, yes. Um, so thank you very much for that. I have two more questions and then we can just
Okay.
open up the floor and do open topics. My favorite question everybody knows. If you could tell your teenage self one thing, what would
Mm-hmm.
that be? And then when you respond, if you can be like, dear whatever age year old self.
Mm-hmm. So I would go back and, dear 16-year-old Kristy, lose some of the hate, lose some of the angst you have against the world and society and people because you felt that backlash, because it all goes away. Um, After a while, you won't have the same group that you're around. High school is nothing. High school is nothing. It literally is, because it comes and goes in a blink of an eye, and you're there for 4 years versus 60 years more of your life. um, Let go of some of that anger and hate and angst and trying to be someone else or portray yourself to be somebody else, because it doesn't work, and you end up hating yourself, and just to let it go. I wish I would have let it go a little bit earlier. But that's my message to my 16-year-old self.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your response. That is definitely a response that we all need to hear, regardless of our age. Although I think it is very important that we hear
Mm-hmm.
that sooner than later. It'll just save us a world full of like anger and just like miscommunication and just so many opportunities. So thank you very
Yeah.
much. So the last question before we get up in here and get in these question box from the audience, experiencing this interview just like you experience
Mm-hmm.
everything going on in life, just going through sharing
Oh,
your experience today, what can you
hold on.
do? Oh, we're good.
I had
I love the
I had some
background. Oh my God.
I had technical difficulties. My gimbal just crapped out on me, so now I have to hold my phone.
We're good. We support technical difficulties here in the Social
Okay.
Progress Podcast.
Okay. Sorry about that. So continue with the last question.
You're good. You're good. Experiencing the interview and everything that just like everything you've experienced in life and going through sharing your story and talking about it, what can you do to create social progress in your life?
So like I said, just the education and just speaking on it. I mean, don't feel clammed up, like you don't have a voice. Just speak up on it. And again, the education, just teaching people that you're not different for coming from an immigrant family. You are not different for wanting to have tons of tattoos and piercings. It's just the speaking up and the educating is the big thing. Everyone wants to say tattoos and piercings, oh, you're dirty or whatever. It's like, no, you actually have to be very clean, and you have to keep up a very clean regimen when you get tattoos, especially after you get a piercing. That takes months and months of healing. Same with, tattoos. You have to be clean. You're not a dirty person. You're not a bad person. You're not an outlaw. You're not an ex-convict for wanting it. Just speak up and educate people. I mean, if like this, if we don't talk about it, then is just left in the dark, and no one knows and no one wants to change their mind. And like me, you know, let go of that hate, because if I didn't, I would have turned into that person that I don't like right now. Like, I don't like those that have the opinions of, you know, go where you came from. I would have ended up like that with the hate built up, and, you know, I was just a bratty, angry teenager. And but just the education and the speaking, that's how we can get around this, and this is how it is turning around now. We see it in society. The more we speak up, the more we talk about things, or we bring it to light, the issues, we see that there is a change. There is that social progress that is happening. Had to throw that in there. Had to throw your little your Instagram tag in there. Get that social progress in there.
Yes, serious question. Yeah. Will we find said education in Makeup Talk with Kristy?
Yes. Yes, so I will, and especially with Anita's suggestion with the talk about Karens. That actually in itself is a good topic, because the supposed Karens, you know, man, they come out of the woodwork and they're nitpicking on people for certain things that they shouldn't. Like, if it doesn't affect you or your family, it doesn't bring you harm, it doesn't, you know, hinder you from getting an education, let it go. Why do you have to speak up on it? But those will be some topics that I will talk about.
Thank you so much, Kristy. I appreciate all your responses. Again, I appreciate you coming onto the interview. The interview. Girl, I love
being able to come here and speak.
Yes, we have to come on. We have to do this again. There's so many topics to talk about. Maybe we could do we should just do a Kristy's TED Talk or something. We just come on and talk for a little bit and speak our minds about the topic that's been bugging us lately. Yes, I love that. That's a part of what I'm trying to do with the videos and the topics that I do on the lives as well, is to just make it real time and to make it the things that we are literally going through and struggling with, compared to, you know, just finding like random topics or whatnot.
Yeah, or something, you know, away from what the mainstream media is, because we already deal with that enough. There's some other things that, you know, there's a lot of things that mainstream doesn't ever cover. Talk about life and drink mimosas. Okay, I'll do that Sunday. Tune in Sunday. I'll do a quick little mimosas and a chat.
Ooh, I like that. Mimosas and chat.
Anita has so many good suggestions.
So many. Girl, we gotta write this down.
I know.
So I want to thank you so much, Kristy. I truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate you coming on and giving me your time, sharing your story. I think it's super amazing. I thank you in advance for wanting to share your story in hopes of making some sort of social progress, not only within ourselves, but for everybody else, the community, the world. So,
yes, no, thank you. Thank you for letting me come on and speak and giving me this opportunity, because, you know, it's weird that I actually want to speak out about it, because normally, like I said, I was the quiet, angry, you know, like just the angsty little teenager. So this is a nice change, and it can get me started on my makeup and talk subjects. So this gave me some good feels, and I got some good ideas for my topics to talk about. And thank you.
I'm gonna shout you out. I'm gonna shout you out on my next live too. Like, let's give a special reminder, everybody, to Kristy. Kristy, we are waiting for that mimosa song. Let's go.
I'm gonna record a couple of I'm gonna record a couple of videos. I'll be putting them up on different social medias. Obviously my social medias and even YouTube, I'll be putting them up.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to go ahead and get into the questions that everybody has in the question box. So for those of you guys that are still here, put a butt, utilize the question box. But before we go with that, Kristy, would you like to share any platforms where people can find you at, where anybody can support you at? Is there anything that you have coming up that we can support you at as well?
Just keep a lookout on, it'll be mainly my Instagram. I'm trying to put more posts on there. But I will be posting on Facebook, Instagram, and shortly I will have a YouTube channel that people can go to once I start putting and uploading videos. So that is in the works. That is in the works. Within the next month, there will be videos posted.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'll go ahead and tag your Instagram as well, and we'll keep a lookout for that.
Thank
So
you.
we'll move on. Of course, we'll move on to some questions. Are you ready for some questions?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, the comments. Yes. So we got purple girl underscore Ella. As a person having experienced all this, how can we make people feel outcasts, feel more at ease? Good question.
Yeah. So obviously, if you see someone that is having issues or feel like an outcast, just try and incorporate them into something, because you never know what the people are struggling with. And that goes for like all topics. Are people in a violent situation that they need to get out of? You just picking a day to sit and talk with someone or go have lunch, did you just stop them from committing a horrible task? Reach out to them. Just make it, feeling at ease is just to reach out and letting them know that there's someone to talk to, and just having a person there that they can speak to. That's just the biggest thing. It's just open up your arms, your eyes, and speak with the person. That it's just as simple as that.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you so much for the response. Thank you for the
Thank
question,
you.
Purple Girl Ella. That's a
Thanks,
really great
Ella.
question. Yes. And just like you said, just to double back on that, Kristy, just involving everybody. When I
Mhm.
had oh my God, my brain just went blank. I'm freaking thinking of Anita. I'm like, Anita's like 10 interviews ago. Casey. I had
Yes.
Casey on
Yes.
2 weeks ago, and she
Mhm.
was saying, guys, just reach out to us. You never know what difference it can make to invite us to sit down with lunch, to go, out to the store together, like to the mall or something, or to go hang out, or just to talk on the phone. So just engaging with each other and just having fun and inviting each other. So
Yeah, it's that
yes.
feeling at ease. Just like when I first moved here, it's like I had no one, but the feeling of people are reaching out, like, oh, do you need something? Hey, let's go eat here. Let's, I'm starting to learn the culture, the foods. I go out and we try all these things. So that helped me feel at ease. And yes, Anita, I would love to go to lunch. Buy my plane ticket back to Guam. We'll go to lunch. It's just that,
Girl, don't
reaching
forget
out.
me.
Okay, 2 plane tickets, but
You
it's
play
just
tickets,
that.
please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's that making a connection is the biggest thing. So speaking up and making that connection helps people feel at ease, and that's the greatest thing, is the human connection.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Anita Rubber, here we go. This is a question. Would you say
Okay,
the
bring it
experience
on.
is different from all the places you've been, like from the stateside to Guam to Puerto Rico?
It definitely is. So in the States, because there's such a huge melting pot of people, cultures, ethnicities, there's such a huge difference. Like in the States, you can go from one city to the next and there's a big difference. On Guam, fortunately, you know, I made some great friends. The locals, like, they took me in, they treated me as if I was one of their own. It was just a wonderful experience. Um, so you know, there is the differences. I come to Puerto Rico, here it's a, you know, Guam, you have that half a day spirit and everyone's so welcoming. And Puerto Rico, you kind of get the cold shoulder almost, because if you're not in that clique, you are, you know, on the outside. And I see that from other people that came from the States that are working here. You know, they're working here, and it still is that some of the locals give them backlash and push and the cold shoulders. So you see it everywhere. And even when I would travel to Croatia, I remember as a kid that, you know, there's a difference, like where you go, where you came from, you know, because Croatia used to be Yugoslavia. And then it disbanded in 91, and that's how Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina came by. You know, the countries that made it up, they disbanded, and they're their own separate ones. Even then, you still kind of get that. Oh, you're from where? Oh, you're from there. Oh, you know, and you see that everywhere. You see that everywhere, and whether you're in the States, whether you go from the country to the city, that's a big difference and a cultural shock. City to country life to city life. Going from states, the state rivalry is insane. Don't even talk about football or college football rivalry, because that's a deadly topic there. But you see it everywhere you go from place to place. And I know even in Europe, there's the thing, you know, when I was in England, there's like turf wars. They have turf wars over who's the best English, where's the best English spot, you know. So it is everywhere, and I have seen it. It's all over the place, and it comes in different forms. So yes, thank you, Anita, for that. Yes, there's differences.
Yes.
If
Woo,
you are tomorrow
Anita!
food,
If you were tomorrow food, what would it
I'm
be and why?
I'm hungry now. I would be Kelagwin, because there's a
Oh,
variety. There's such a big variety, and all of them are so good. So why not be this big versatile food group that everyone loves?
such a great question, Anita. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. So,
Yes. Oh, I see in the comments. Yes, Andrea. I miss you. I miss everyone. I do. I miss being on Guam. It was so fun. It was so good.
yeah, I miss it too. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Anita.
Kristy.
Eloquent.
So that's about it for the questions. Not unless anybody else has questions coming in. Oh, we have one more, I think. Oh, here it is. Anita Rubber.
How's your new
How's your
doggy?
new doggy?
Yes. So Rob and I, we adopted a dog. His name is Paco. He is 10 years old. He's actually now a retired canine explosives dog, and he is a handful. I mean, a handful. You would think 10 years old, he might be, you know, slowing down. What? No, no. There's a reason why we call dogs of any ages puppies. They're puppies. But he's a cute, sweet puppy.
Yes, I love it. I appreciate you guys for doing that as well. That was so amazing when I saw you guys adopted. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yes, thank
Yes.
you, Anita.
If anybody doesn't have any more questions, that is it for the questions. I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined us. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
engaging
you.
and for asking Kristy questions and commenting as well. Kristy, I appreciate you for coming on to the Social Progress Podcast.
Oh, no, thank you so
Your
much,
story
Chelsea.
is
Thank you.
amazing. Yes, your story is amazing, and I hope that you continue to keep sharing it.
Yes, thank you. And I can't wait for the video of this so we can rewatch it.
I am going to tag you and I am going to wait and shout you out every
Awesome.
live that I have. Anita, remind me for the mimosas and makeup with Kristy.
Mimosas and makeup. Okay, I will